such an explanation, we would accept it. But then that would be a very forcing thing, because there are no such explanations in the Quran. When we look at the European media, for example, there are thousands of pieces of news in the newspapers and magazines which talk about the collapse and defeat of Darwinism. The European society no longer believes in Darwinism, and this demise of Darwinism is a sign of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The future century, the following 100 years, will be full of such signs. And in this new century, we will see the demise of Darwinism, communism and fascism. And with the collapse of Darwinism, with its getting weaker and weaker, we also see the demise of such artificial systems, and these signs have already started to be felt. People who would like to compromise and reconcile Quranic explanations and the theory of evolution have great difficulty in answering the question about the creation of the genies and angels, because when they are asked how they were created, they cannot explain their creation through evolution, because they know that genies and angels were created spontaneously. On the other hand, when we look at other animals, other species like reptiles and human beings, we can see different levels and different groups. And in all of these species, we have the proofs of spontaneous creation, because we cannot see and we don't have any transitional forms among the fossils we have in our hands. So all the explanations put forward by Darwinism are artificial explanations, and they have no single scientific proof of their theory. Months ago, I offered 10 trillion Turkish liras to the person who would bring me one single scientific proof of the theory of evolution, but since months have passed, no single person came up with that proof, because there is no such proof.
Maybe the value of lira is not that strong. No, just kidding. No, no. This is how could the creationism of God create billions of species in 6 days? And I know you're going to say this is not literally 6 days; it's a different time, but still. Millions and billions of species created in such a period of time. Also, as we question things in Darwinism, this is very hard to be explained beside the fact that God says, kun fayakun, be and being.
When you look at the moon, or when you look at the sun, actually you are looking at the image of the moon and the sun in your brain. Again, when you look at the outer world, what you see is the image of the outer world. The real matter which exists in the world can only be seen by Allah Himself. We cannot know the real matter. We can only interact with the matter's image in our brains. So we are interacting with those images, not the real entities of the matters. In this room, for example, we are sitting apart from one another. There is a certain amount of distance between us. And I see your watch and you see my watch. And these are only the images of our watches that we see in our brains. The clearest proof of this is that when you squeeze one of your eyes, that image of the watch will move or fade away. So that proves that you are interacting with the image of the watch, not with the watch itself. So the world is becoming aware of this fact newly, and they are in great shock, because that image, all those images we see in our brains are very qualified images. So the world is being aware of this fact, and now this is a great artistry, a great miracle which is done by Allah Himself.
Let's assume millions, billions of species were created kun fayakun. How do we explain the post-Noah ark? You know, when the flood came, presumably all live being was gone. And how do you put all those back together on an ark, on a ship? It's still hard to comprehend that millions and billions of pieces will be on just one ship or one ark. I mean, I'm sure you have an explanation for that. I'd be very interested to hear it.
Well, the flood you are talking about was only a regional flood. So Noah was told by Allah to take with himself the animals which he would be in need of during that flood. So the animals that he took into his ark were only animals which he could use in agriculture or for purposes of nurturing himself. So when you look at the animals which were taken into that ark, they were mostly cattle, sheep, and goats, which Noah could use for agriculture and nurturing, because after the flood they would all be dead, and after the flood he made use of those animals for his survival, because Allah told him so. So the flood of Noah was only a regional flood. It did not contain the whole world.
Well, I thought they said everything on earth, but one of your biggest issues, evolution, is it has no soul, has no moral. And do we have to have religion or God to have moral? Well, a lot of people don't believe in God. A lot of people not afraid of punishment. If they believe in God, they don't even believe in punishment, but they still do good without fearing God. So doing good doesn't necessarily approve of creation, or you don't have to have God or religion to do good. Because to secure your survival, you have to be good to others so they can be good to you. Like Darwin talked about the selfish genes, you know, that one survives so they develop some kind of artistic cooperative to other species.
We have to look at the practical lives of people who call themselves non-believers, or who tell us that they don't believe in God. In fact, these people believe in God in their subconscious, but perhaps because of their pride, because of their vanity, or because of their ignorance, they don't tell this to other people, and they say that they don't believe in God. So this is the impact of their environment, the impact of the people around them. So perhaps they want to be marginal. So in order to attain that marginality in society, they just tell people around them that they don't believe in God. But on the other hand, if you look at the practical side of their lives, you will see that they act in accordance with religious beliefs and ethical values. For example, many people who tell that they don't believe in God attach great importance to the concept of family. But when you look at their lives, family is a very important concept in their lives. So similarly, they tend to mimic other good ethical values, but they hide it. So that must be, most of the time, they envy those who are true believers, and they just internalize the good deeds those true believers do. So even if they tell us that they are not true believers, in their subconsciouses, they believe in God.
We can only go with what they say, but the Muslim world, the Western world now in big crisis with financial institution collapsing and mortgage and economy, and they are desperately looking for a different model, and the end of capitalism as we know it might be at hand. How can Islam help in this global crisis?
First of all, Islam is a religion of perseverance and true belief. So if you have perseverance and belief, that would leave no